we got our own problems here anyway. One of those problems, vaccine, the poke, man. Are you getting the jab?
Oh
Actually,
no.
I don't want to make it too personal because that might be personal information. But
Oh no, I'm definitely not.
so you,
2019. I mean, for a while, I was warning people about, before this thing even hit, there was a lot of controversy over those needles. Uh, I debated Lupe Fiasco, or I should say, really interviewed him about uh, this idea of vaccinations. Um, United States Supreme Court has ruled that they are unsafe. It's a fact. Uh, Cited in Bruce versus Wyeth. Um, in 2020, I had a couple of guests on my channel, Sister Samaya, and she was one of those people that warned us that they were passing legislation to ban or remove the ability to have religious exemption when it's in regards to this needle.
oh,
And this is
tricky.
before, the whole world shut down over this bug. So it seemed as though they were preparing. Somebody knew something, and people were preparing to mandate these things. Um, you know, I don't think the agenda has much to do with the bug as much as it does taking away our freedom, setting precedents for what the government is and is not allowed to do. Is really what's happening here. You give an inch, they'll take a mile, and we've given them a foot already. If we're not careful, uh, it'll it'll settle in a place where they'll own our bodies
Yeah,
and they'll have rights to our bodies. And at that point, there is no more freedom.
right. And that's because I've already been exposed to this Hotep. I went to because I play rugby, right? There's a huge tournament every year called Rugby Town. It just happened like August 25th. It's actually where I proposed to my now wife a couple years ago. But I was supposed to go with the team, bro. And let me explain this to you because this was when I really started to realize. Because right now I'm in the sticks. I'm not in the city where a lot of this stuff probably is mostly taking place, but I'm in the sticks. So here, it's smaller population. People don't really. It ain't that big a deal here. But I was gonna go play for this team, and I don't want to say the name of the team for whatever reason, but they told me to play on the team. I had to have the vaccine, and I asked them basically straight up, like, is that? Are you telling me that's a must do? Because that's not going to happen. And if you want me to play on that team, you might as well go and find somebody else now. And then they started to beat around the bush. They started, hey, you don't have to get it, but if you don't get it, we got to do all the tests, and you're going to have to do this. So I'm like, so basically, I'm going to be a second class citizen. They're talking about putting me. They don't want to pay for an extra room because I'm going to have to be in my own room and this and this. And I'm like, yo, look, if you don't want me to play, that's cool, but I'm not getting the vaccine. And that's when I first started to understand, oh, this is gonna start being bigger.
Mm-hmm.
There's an article that came out yesterday of a woman in Chicago that was told by a judge from I believe it was some kind of divorce court type of deal where they were doing custody for the children.
Mm.
And he asked her, she's 39 years old. He asked her straight up, do you have the vaccine? Literally at the beginning. Do you have the vaccine? She says no. He gives custody to the he gives custody to the father. It's insane. Like, and I'm like, that's insane. Let me see if
Yeah.
I can pull it up. But
Yeah.
that's absolutely ridiculous that we've gotten to this point. You talk about New York, and they're telling people to go into certain restaurants, you're gonna have to have this vaccine passport. And
Mm-hmm.
so few Americans are actually concerned about what's going on here, and that concerns me because I'm like, are you guys so buried in the Instagram that we're not paying attention to our livelihood in the futures? Because if we don't take charge of this now as people, if we don't get behind something now, there's nothing more important to get behind. If you don't get behind this, I don't know where we're gonna be as
Mm.
a country. So
Yeah, I think the problem is who people consider the authority on information,
mm,
and that trust is with the wrong entities. People are trusting things like the information that comes out of the box, the television. You know, I hear a lot of people say trust the science. And in order to trust the science, you got to look at both sides of the science, and that's what we're not doing. Many of us are not looking at both sides of the science, pro and anti. And I'm not seeing a lot of discussions between the two sets of doctors. I'm not saying any debates between the two sets of doctors. I would love to see that happen, but we're just getting mocking and meme warfare.
Yeah.
But no serious discussion is being held, and I think people have to demand that. The majority of people who are hesitant to get this shot are black. So this is another form of, I believe, racial discrimination, and it's a way to hide it. Democrats are notorious for this, notorious for their segregationist ways. We know they did this back in the day when it came to voting, and they had, you can't vote unless you pass this test. Well, here it is now. It's like you can't participate in society unless you pass this test, right?
Right.
So again, being railroaded and ostracized, outcasted, separated from society based upon our own personal decisions. Uh, the funny part is these shots affect melanated people much differently than they do others. And that's not what the science is willing to talk about. We're hesitant for a reason. We have tons of reasons to be hesitant. Um, and I believe that a lot of this stuff, which is most alarming, is the lack of discussion around immune health, a lack of discussion around building immune health and what you should eat. You know,
Man.
yeah, it's like, hey, one of the places that creates health, they shut down, which was the gym.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so this current system, or whoever is in charge of the system, I should say, uh, doesn't want to nurture life. They want to control it.
That's okay. That's really interesting because I think it might have something to do with polarization. Just everybody wanting to be fed their team, right? The tribalism, the hey, I'm on the left, the hey, I'm pro, the hey, I'm anti, instead of being able to look at all of the data. And kind of my whole opinion on it. And the only reason I haven't gotten it is because I don't know anything. I don't know it. Like you said, I don't know any real information.
Mm-hmm.
You got one side. Just because the media wants to they want money. That's what it all comes down to. The media want, again, follow the money. The media wants money, so they're running with these stories every day that's telling us masks are good, masks are bad, masks don't help at all. You can get it. You can still get the Delta variant. You got to get your boosters. Like, hey, just take a second, go and brief with each other in a month, every month, one story. Give us one story that you've come up with every month or every week or whatever we're going to do, where you've consulted with or you've had conversations with people who have disbeliefs with you, like you said. Sit down and have these tough conversations because those are the ones that are the most important. But there's so much polarization, and Fox is getting the money from talking about the vaccine, and CNN, they're getting their money from talking about the vaccine, and they have no interest in promoting the other people's ideas, because as soon as people see different ideas, they run for the hills. They can't handle it anymore. You got safe, but man, oh my goodness, bro. Don't Hotep, you can't get me started, man. I'm trying to tell you, this stuff really get me hyped up because what are you like? What are you doing to the people in the country? Where you're at the point where you can't have a conversation about something that is supposed to that affects everybody here.
Mm.
What can we trust you with if you're just trying to profit off of this situation as much as you can instead of actually give us real information? At some point, you would think that these big companies, especially media outlets, would go, there's a moral dilemma here. We love the money, but there's a moral dilemma here. And I heard you laugh about that. What you think that that's impossible? Do you think that that's even a possible route we
What?
would ever take, or am I just being too
What
optimistic?
is what?
The media ever putting forth or putting money behind the fact that this is a national issue? You know what I mean? Like, do you feel like that's ever possible for a media outlet to see to have a moral value on and put money underneath the importance of the people?
No.
You funny, bro. That's crazy. No,
No, I don't. Not mainstream media, at least. Not until it's taken over by the people or the people. I mean, you have a lot of people like Joe Rogan who become media outliers and provide a different view, and the legacy media feels threatened by that, so they publish their scathing articles against individuals with their own platforms. But and then YouTube tries to curb some people and information when they go to their own platforms. So I think that like I spoke about this before, it's probably going to be two worlds. You have the mainstream world, and you have the underground world, and people are going to be divided based upon mainstream thought and what I'd like to call organic thought. And I think the closest representation to that is probably Demolition Man. If you ever saw that movie, you ever saw that movie?
never seen Demolition Man.
Yeah, you're probably too young to have seen that one. Classic. Sylvester Stallone, Wesley Snipes, really awesome flick. Um, but the people above ground and the mainstream are basically like the Puritans. Can't curse, can't do this, got to walk a certain way, got to act a certain way, da 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 da, got to eat this, got to do that. A lot of control, not a lot of freedom involved. And then there's the underground people who actually literally live underground in like the sewers and the tunnels and situations like that. And I think we'll get there where technology is going to be split, where you're going to find more independent pieces of technology, jailbroken phones. You're going to see people speaking a cryptographic language. Communication is going to change a little bit, or a lot of it. um, you're going to see uh, the cryptocurrency is going to be big, but the blockchain being the backbone of some of these other applications that are concerned with censoring. But yeah, we're headed to a place where mainstream media is going to be an option and not the only way.